All right, starting out, converting degrees to radians. When you're converting degrees to radians, you take the given angle, 72, and you divide it by 180. And you do that in your calculator. .72 divided by 180. Enter. Math, enter. We get 2 over 5. So this reduces down to 2 over 5. And when we convert to radians, you put a pi on it. So it becomes 2 over 5 pi, or 2 pi over 5. So A is the correct answer. All right. Number 3, now going from radians to degrees. So when we went from degrees to radians, we divided it by 180. So now we are going to multiply by 180. Notice I dropped the pi because we're going to degrees. So 5 divided by 12 times 180. And it comes out to a whole number, 75. And since we are going to degrees, it's going to be 75 degrees, B. All right, amplitude. Now amplitude sounds like a hard problem, but the amplitude is just the height of the sine or cosine graph, and that's found by always in front of the sine or cosine. This is always going to be the amplitude, whatever number is in front of sine and cosine multiplied by it. So A is our correct answer. All right, in what quadrant would the terminal side of negative 440 be? Okay, so remember our quadrants. I'm going to label them up here at top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, we're dealing with negative angles. So if you remember, it goes in this direction. So this is negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So if I start here and I go negative 90, 180, 270, I know I'm at least going all the way back around to negative 360. Now I'm negative 440. So if I go negative 360, and if I'm not good at this, I'm going to type it in my calculator. So if I do negative 360 minus, which is the negative 90. So if I go all the way around to here, it's going to be negative 450, which is too far. So I'm going to go right about here. And that's the terminal side of the angle. So what quadrant is it in? It's in 4. All right. Suppose you drop a tennis ball from a height of 8 feet. After the ball hits the floor, it rebounds to 80% of its previous height. How will the ball rebound after its third bounce? So if I, right here, if I drop a tennis ball off this and it bounces back up to 80%, so right here, that's the first bounce. So how you do that is after the first bounce, you take the height and multiply it by the percentage it said, so 0.8, because that's 80%. So the first height was we started out with 8. Now we're at 6.4. So it bounces again and bounces up And then, so I'm going to do 80% of that. So I'm going to times 0.8, enter. So that bounce is my second bounce, is at 5.12. Then it bounces again for the third time. Times 0.8 again. 4.096, which if you look at our options, 4.1 is what it rounds up to. So B is our correct answer. All right, number 11. The table shows the predicted growth of a particular bacteria after various number of hours. Write an explicit formula for the sequence of the numbers of the bacteria. All right, so what I'm going to do is all these numbers right here represent n. So I'm going to plug these into every single equation, and I should get back these answers. Okay, so I'm going to plug in a sub 1 equals 21 times 1, which equals 21. A sub 2 equals 21. So I'm going to try again since the first one matched. So I plugged in 1, got 21. Plugged in 2. 21 times 2 is 42. So far, so good. And I'm going to check one more. A sub 5. So 21 times 5 does equal 105. Just to show you an example of one that wouldn't work, just so you can kind of see it. When if I would have plugged 1 in for this one, I would have gotten 1 plus 21, which equals 22, which if I plug in 1, I'm trying to get this answer right here. And when I plugged in 1, I did not get 21, so that's not a possibility. So our answer is A. All right, this is a summation problem. This one looks difficult, but all you have to do is type it into your calculator. You go to Math, and you go all the way to the bottom to where it says summation. Now on the test, it says n. We're just going to use our normal variable x. 1, hit over 4, and then you're just going to type in the formula. Okay? Instead of n plus 4, you're going to do x plus 4, hit enter, and it gives you the sum. 26. All right, 15. The function is represented by the table below. What are the corresponding values of g of x for the transformation? G of x equals, now this right here, it's important you understand what this means. -4 times f of x. When there is a number outside of anything, it is multiplication. So these two are multiplying. So you need to look over here. Where is f of x at? This is the part of the graph that's represented by f of x. If you notice, if you test taking strategies, you look at every single answer. All the x's are the same. The only thing that changes are these. So what I'm doing is I'm taking each one of these and multiplying them by -4 all the way down. So this gives me -28. This gives me +20. This gives me +4. This gives me -16. This gives me -36. So looking at my answer choices, only one of them even has -28. Right there is your correct answer. All right, number 17. All right, number 17. Now looking at the transformation, you're just looking at the two different equations. So what first changed? Well, this graph only has a 2x squared. This one all of a sudden has a -5. Okay, so -5 outside the function tells us this graph is going down. Okay, so the one that says up 5, not an option. This one says up 5, not an option. So we're going to narrow our answer choices down from B and C because it says it's translated down 5, which is the -5. Now, how do you go from 2 to 8? Well, You multiply by 4. Now, which one of these shows a factor of 4? This has a factor of 4. This one has 1/4. So this tells us that B is our option. All right, let's make this. Here we go. Now, all graphs start here at the origin, and then if they have to move, they move like this one did. Now, if I was to move this one, it went down 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to look at all of the answer choices over here. Which ones have -4 on the outside? -4 on the outside tells me it went down 4. So A, C, and D are all still possibilities. Now, I went left 8. Well, they all have an 8 in them. Now, what happens here is, how do I decide if it's plus or minus? And a lot of you are going to pick this one because minus you think left. When it's inside parentheses or absolute value or inside, it's opposite. So when you go left, it's actually plus. Okay? Remember that. So D is not an option. So how do I decide between A and C? Okay? If it was A, the graph would look like this. It would still be pointing up. C, the negative is what makes a graph flip down in the very, very front, the negative right here. So C is our correct answer. 20, how is the graph translation of f of x, x squared? All right, so what does it do? We just talked about this. The plus on the outside makes it move up. So this one, even if you read it, it says down, not an option. This one up 4, that's a possibility. Down 4, up 4. All right, so we're already down to 2 options. Plus 3, don't forget. That means opposite. So we're going to actually go left 3. So we went up 4, left 3. B is our correct answer choice. What is the equation of y equals x cubed with the given transformations? Vertical compression of a factor of 1/5. Just using test taking, if I look at this, all of them are 1/5, so I'm not worried about that. Horizontal shift 7 units left. This tells me up. This tells me right. So both of those are done. Narrowed it down to 2. Reflection. What makes it reflect? We just talked about this. The negative in the very, very front makes it flip. A. 25. This is filled in. We talked about this a lot. That means multiplication, so we're going to multiply these two together. 3x plus 2, 7x plus 6. We're just going to FOIL. 3x times 7x, 21x squared, plus 18x. Next one, this one times 7x plus 14x, and then 2 times 6 plus 12. Combine like terms. There are no like terms for x squared, so it's just 21x squared. 18x and 14x plus 32x, and then plus 12. So there's 2 options. C and D are both correct. Yeah. All right. Now this one is the one people got confused on. This is open, so this is composition, not multiplication. Composition means we're going to take this number and plug into both of these. It does matter which one you start with. You're going to start with the closest one. 2 is closest to G. So we're going to plug 2 into G. I get -8 minus 5 equals -13. Now, a lot of people will stop because, hey, I got an answer. No, you take this answer and now you plug it back into F. Because F is the one furthest away. If it was, so 2 times -13 plus 3 equals -26 plus 3 equals -23. All right. 70% of 34 hours is what? So I'll just write these out as they're written. 70%, I'm going to put it as a decimal, of means times, 34 is means equals, what? What means something we don't know, so I'm going to label it X. So if I do 0.70 times 34, hit enter, 23.8, and that is our answer choice. All right. Same concept, 29 miles is means equals 13%, so I'm going to put it as a decimal, of times what? X. Now this one I'm going to solve for X, so I'm going to move this to the other side. They are multiplied together, so to undo multiplication, you divide. So 20, let's clear it out so we understand where we're at. 29 divided by 0.13, enter, 223. So A is our correct answer. All right. At Murky Middle School, 360 students ride the bus to school. If this number is 70% of school enrollment, then how many students are enrolled at school? Now, this one I'm going to use the percent times whole equals part. All right, so they told us 70%, so that's pretty easy. Now, where people struggled with the most was figuring out the difference between whole and part. So the way I look at it is, these are 360 students out of the entire school. So the entire school would be the whole, and that's what we don't know. So I'm going to label that X, and the part is 360. So to solve this, once again, multiply times X. So to get rid of it, we got to divide by 0.70. Uh, 360 divided by 0.70, 514. So there's 514.29 students enrolled at the school. If you purchase a DVD player that costs $775, how much sales tax will you pay? So I'm going to do this same way, percent times whole equals part. Okay, I know the percent. Now, a lot of people with 8% have been putting 0.8. You move it 2 decimal places. 1, 2. So it's point. Ooh, that's bad. All right, let's try that again. 0.08. Now this one is the actual entire DVD cost equals, we don't know how much, so I'm going to label it X. So we are doing a part percent times the whole thing to find the part. $62 off, or $60 is how much I'm going to pay in sales tax. All right. Probability. A spinner is numbered 1 through 10 with each number equally likely to occur. What is the probability of obtaining a number less than 3 or greater than 8 in a single spin? So this is one spin. So less than 3. So 2's less than 3. 1's less than 3. All right. 3, we do not count 3 because 3 is not less than 3. 3 is 3. So the numbers less than 3 are 2 and 1, or greater than 8. 9, 10. So I'm going to count how many numbers right now meet that criteria. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 10 total. 4 out of 10 is not an option. So if you can't reduce it, like in your head, you can go to alpha y equals 4 over 10 and hit enter, and it reduces it for you 2/5. Alright, last one. A bag contains 8 red marbles, 4 white marbles, 6 blue marbles. Find the probability of red then blue. That's the key word. Make sure you pay attention to that. Then, not or, then. Okay? Then means you multiply the probabilities together, or means you add them. Alright, so let's talk about it. Probability of finding a red one first. So first of all, there's 8 red marbles out of how many total? 8, 12, 18. Perfect. We know it's then, so I'm going to multiply. Now blue. Now notice how it says without replacing. That means when I reach in to draw that marble out, I don't put it back. So boom. Let's say it leaves outside the bag. How many does that leave left? 17. A lot of people have been subtracting all 8. I'm not taking all 8 red marbles out. I'm only taking 1 out. So how many possible blue ones do I have left? 6. And then I'm going to multiply those two together. And I'm going to show you how to do it on. So alpha y equals 8 over 18 times alpha y equals 6 over 17. Hit enter. 8 divided by 51. Oh. And on this problem, it was not reduced because in class we got, I noticed you all were doing it straight across. On the test, it probably will be reduced. So it's 48 over 306, which reduces down to 8 over 51. All right. Don't forget to ask any questions in class if you have any. I'll be more than happy to answer, but here's just a tutorial over all the problems and some extra help.